Right, welcome to our third Twitch performance. And the first two, we were looking at the World Championship game. We finished, and we'll assemble all the scores so you can judge your strength. But let's just go to a puzzling position near the end of the game, uh, which I have on the computer. I am now going to show it. Yes, I've got it here. So that was that strange position where we expected white to castle. White did not castle. White played instead, I think, rook to d1 here. And then we expected black's best move, black would castle. But in fact, black did not castle. And now it seems around about that time, though they changed the rules of chess, so you've got the queen and the bishop, the more powerful pieces, they hadn't worked out castling. And even in the first chess book of modern chess ever written, which is the Lucena manuscript, that was probably published 1497, which is maybe 17 years after Okay, I think somebody is listening to me. Yep. So my sound engineer just did something there. Right. So where was I? Yeah, we were talking about that first book of chess, 1497, written in Spain, and this was by Lucena, just as this game was played in Valencia, which was part of Spain, and round about that time, Lucena, writing his book, he doesn't actually show castling. There is a sort of rudimentary castling. In the openings, he shows first the rook would move to f1 or d1, and then the king would jump over. So it got to kind of a two-step castling had been achieved, but there wasn't really castling. And therefore, maybe it implies to me as well, because Spain was such a hotbed of chess, that this game possibly was played earlier, say 1480, not at a later time, because White might have done the slower form of castling in his game. Right, so that's a very interesting thing. Castling didn't happen, and therefore you're not able to connect the rooks. You're not able to get such a strong attack going. And so that game that we saw gives us some insight into what was happening at that time in the chess world. Now I'm going to clear the board, and I'm going to show you all the 150 different ways to castle that they had at that time, because every country had its own version. It was, you could say, complete chaos. Now let's just cancel this position, which I do by putting it in the bin. And now we got an empty board. And now I'm just going to put my basic position of a rook, moving it round to a1, and a king, pushing it on e1, and a rook, pushing it on h1. Now, they had, even prior to this, because they kept trying to change the rules and speed the game up. They were doing that for about 2 centuries before suddenly you get the change of rules. And that is unprecedented. Where did they get that mighty queen from? Where did the idea come from? But castling was known as the king's leap, though it wasn't quite castling, as you can say. The king could at any time maybe leap either forwards or sideways, to have a special leap, because the status of the king, even at those times, is unclear. In medieval times, the king was meant to go into the front of battle. He was meant to lead his troops. So sometimes the king could move forward to be at the head of his troops. It's only with the modern chess that the king has to hide himself away in the corner because of the mighty power of the queen and the bishop. It's just not safe for him. So early King's Leaps had actually the king going forward or moving like a knight. Now, getting to round about the change of rules, then we have at least 4 ways to castle. So just remember what they are. Alla Calabrista, yeah? Alla Napolitani, Ghianutio's version, or free castling. And these are kind of Italian words, a bit like Italian ice cream, the different flavors of cornetto. And even though I think possibly the rules of chess changed to allow the queen and bishop to dominate, possibly happened in Spain, the castling rules probably changed first in Italy, because they had the Roman rules of castling, which would be like our castling. I'm now going to move my king to, oops, no, I'm not. Let's put him back. Where's my rook gone? I lost my rook. He's been eaten up. He took his own rook. No. Okay, so that's, come on, my friend. Yes, that is kind of alla calabrista, and you can do it on the other side, known as the Roman type. And that gradually became the most popular way to do it, but probably doesn't get really established until about 1620. That's about 100 years later. And even then, you've got local variations. And we could ask Ray Keane, who's an expert on Howard Staunton, because Howard Staunton set up the first international chess tournament in 1851 at the time of the Great Exhibition. But also Howard Staunton wanted them to change to, what do you call it, make sure all the rules were consistent all over the world. So he wanted, obviously there were discrepancies in the rules. Maybe castling was still in dispute. So that's alla calabrista, but alla napolitano, I think, is where you've got the rook. How am I going to do it? Okay, because they might start eating each other. Yeah, the rook might come to say e1, and the king might go into the corner. So that's another way of castling. Then I've lost my rook again. Let's get it back. Yep. So that's the other one. Then I think there's the Ghianutio castling, and that it might be, I think, where the king goes next door and the rook jumps over. Yeah, that's another version. And then you've also got, come on, yeah, you've also got free castling, where kind of the rook and king swap places. And then you've got another variation where you can castle, and if you've, say, got a pawn on a2 or h2, you can at the same time move the pawn up to h3 to give your king a bit of an escape route. So these are all fascinating variations. And as well as that, remember the Lucena type of castling, where, say, the rook first moves to f1, and in his manuscript, the 1497, then next move, the king would move, so you take 2 moves to castle. So we have all those different variations of castling. Now, this week's test, a game, of course, leads into all these ideas of castling. Let's get back to I think the setup board, which I think I can do by going like this. Yes, there we are. So here we have the board in the start position. And, you know, the great master of attack was Paul Morphy, and his entry to the chess world in about 1856 is very similar to, you could say, the entry of rock and roll in music. Changed music forever. As soon as Elvis picks up a guitar or Jerry Lewis hits the piano, then music is never the same. When Morphy arrives on the scene, again, he totally inspires chess. He's only around for a couple of years. What an impression that guy has made. And so he was the master of development, and he used those castling rules to whip up incredible attacks. Now, of course, one of the greatest examples of Morphy's play is the great Night at the Opera. In that dingy opera, the Count and the Duke got bored and challenged Morphy to a game. So while they were singing down their hearts out on the stage, the Duke and Morphy and the Count were absorbed in this game of chess, and they produced a masterpiece. But I'm not going to show you that game. Well, I may show it to you later, but I think so many people have seen that wonderful game. But that is a demonstration par excellence of Morphy and the box of chocolates. Because let's think about development. What you've got is the lid of the box. You've got all the pawns on the lid of the box, and the chocolates are underneath, the pieces. So what you've got to do is to try and get the chocolates out of the box, which isn't so hard for the knights because they can jump. It's not so hard for the queens and bishops. You just move a pawn and they can slip out on the diagonals. But it's incredibly difficult for the rooks because, you know, the rooks hate the pawns. They're always in their way. So the rooks can't jump and they cannot slide. So how are we going to get them out? Of course, you don't need to get the king out. He's happy to stay inside the box because, as we know, he's got to stay safe. So we could look at Morphy and that Night at the Opera, but I want to show you another game, and this will demonstrate Morphy's attacking skills, and perhaps you can find out, just like last time, are you the next Paul Morphy? You know, will you sort of appear like a meteor on the chess world, and people will talk about you forever? So here's the game. Possibly you haven't seen it before, so that's why we can get authentic responses from you. So let's start the game with the move. Morphy's white, and he's playing his pawn up to e4. And because, of course, the rules of castling, which they spent so long in honing, e4 makes a sensible move, because even though it's exposing your king, moving up in front of your king, if you can quickly get your king into safety, then that outweighs the negative aspects of your initial pawn move, because we know the other concept that we need to control the center. So the control of the center and the safety of the king are two mutually contradictory aims. So that's what castling attempts to resolve. Now we're going to look at Morphy's second move, which is the moving the pawn up to f4. So let's ask our first question. What's he doing? I've only got half a board. Right. Our first question: what is the name of this opening? So shame on you if you don't know it, because of course, though this opening is very much forgotten, you know, it's one of the most wonderful openings in chess, called the King's Gambit. It seems to lose a pawn, and that's true, it does. But by attempting to exchange pawns, swap pawns, you then have a chance to get your rooks into action. So without an exchange of pawns, the rooks will be forever buried behind their own infantry. So f4 is the way that white immediately strikes out to try and get an outlet for his rooks. So it's a long-term plan. It's also attacking the black center, so trying to take control of the black center. But it has a major disadvantage, as we shall soon see. The chess is a game of risk and danger, and the King's Gambit is rightfully one of the most romantic chess openings. So black has taken the pawn, he's accepted the challenge, and now for your second question, can you choose your next move for white? Choose your next move for white. This is a live thing, but again, we'll put it on podcast, so then others will be able to go through this and take their time and pause. But anyway, we have to move on. Time is short, so make your choice. So I think if you chose knight f3, we're going to give you 6 points. An excellent move, developing the knight and most important, stopping the black check with the queen on h4. I wonder, I can maybe just make this queen go to h4. Well, I did, and then she went back again. But at any rate, that's something we got to watch out for. Our king is in danger. So knight f3 guards the h4 square. However, people have found other ways to maybe invite the queen on. So some of them have played bishop c4 here. I'll do that. Yep, and take it back. And even you've got my opening, queen e2. Fantastic move, because if black checks with the queen on h4, we can tuck our king on d1. Now that, with that opening, queen e2 in the 70s, I scored 100% record with it. I did not win a single game, nor did I draw a single game with this opening. Nevertheless, I think it has an opening full of hidden promise. Let's put that queen back to d1. So if you chose that, why does it want? Oh, I know. I can do something else, can't I? I can make it. Yes. Okay. Now, even another idea you could try might be h4 here. Yeah. So those two moves, queen e2, queen f3, another move. That's Brea's opening, or h4. Let's give you 4 points for those moves. Queen e2, queen f3, h4. Not so crazy as they look. Now let's put that back. Yeah. And also bishop c4, because that's a regular line. We should give it 6. And there are other moves like knight c3. Steinitz's give that 4 points. But all these moves kind of invite black to check. And Steinitz used to say, my king likes to go for a walk. So he would provoke his opponent by letting him chase his king all over the board, relying on the fact that the king can be a fighting piece. But overall, I'm not sure if Steinitz proved his point. Now, let's see. So in this game, I believe Morphy plays knight f3. One of the great things about the King's Gambit is you force black to make an unorthodox move. They've looked at this opening for ages, and they would like black to play normal moves like developing stuff or putting pawns in the center. But they've decided that black's best move is not developing nor putting a pawn in the center, but moving his pawn to g5, which kind of supports the pawn chain. But it kind of drags black onto white's battlefield. Now, so far, the King's Gambit is under a cloud, but I believe my new and not to be disclosed variation, the modified Muzio, will form the key to the rehabilitation of the King's Gambit. But if you want to have this information, it'll cost you a lot of money, so I will not say any more about this. Okay, now let's look at the next move for white. Remember, this game was played in 1855, so Morphy is not quite Morphy. He hasn't burst on the scene. He's in America. He's playing this in a place called Mobile, which is somewhere in America. I don't know where. And his opponent is, I think, Judge Meek, a very respected person. So 18-year-old Morphy, born in 1837, playing Meek. And this is one of the games which had an electric effect on the chess community. So Judge Meek, he plays g5. And Morphy now develops in expected format. And now Judge Meek plays the bishop, or it may be just Meek. I'm a bit hazy on chess history. Bishop to g7, which could be called the Hanstein Gambit or the Hanstein Defense, according to Jonathan Finlay, who wrote those classic tapes 30, 40 years ago, bring back the King's Gambit for audio chess. So we'll later reissue them. But I remember we did 4 tapes on the King's Gambit, trying to prove it was a great opening. So bishop g7 is one of the toughest nuts to crack. So now I'd like you to decide what move you would play for white here. So I think that's question 3, your choice for white. Well, I think if you played castles, then we'll give you, I think, 4 points for that, castles. And also, if you played d4 or knight c3, I think we'll give you 6. Morphy actually played the move h4. So h4 to try and break up the pawn chain. So h4, what should we give for that? Okay, I'm biased. I'm going to give you 5 points. All right, I guess Morphy might disagree, but he's not around to dispute the issue. This is my my scene. So h4, away comes Morphy. So now you're black, because you've got to know how to play these things for both sides. Question 4, what are you going to play for black here? So think carefully. What will be your choice? Well, one thing you don't really want to do is to split your pawns. I've given this little analogy, some people may not like, of the pawns being like little girls in the playground, and they walk around holding hands. So they like to stick together. So if you played, say, G takes H4, that would show total lack of positional understanding, because then you got 4 totally split, isolated, unhappy, miserable pawns on F7, H7, F4, and H4. They are all ripe for the picking. And most important, white will probably go pawn to D4 and then capture the pawn at F4. Very important, he will get his open file. So G takes H4. Okay, you took something, so we'll give you 2 points for that. But from the positional angle, I must say that is a disaster. So just bear that in mind if you chose that move. And go and I would suggest get hold of Chernev's incredible book, Logical Chess Move by Move. Again, you can get it from my website. But that would be, the great book to give you the foundations of positional play. Now, if you played h6, keeping the pawn chain intact, I think we're going to give you 6 points for that. Because if he takes on hg5, no, he doesn't go to h5. If he takes on g5 and black takes back, this sort of concept is the foundations of chess opening theory, because you'll see it in the Queen's Gambit. Black with his bishop on g7 has defended his rook, as we mentioned in the previous things. The pieces which are for the chop in the initial position are always the rooks. Have you noticed that at the beginning of the game, the rooks are unprotected? That theme turns up again and again. But here, by playing the bishop to g7, if white now takes the rook, because he's opened the file, the bishop can take back. And black still has his pawn chain intact. And it's vital for black to keep the pawn on f4 so that then white cannot use the open f file. Or maybe he can use the h file, but he's lost one of his rooks. And the other rook is a long way from getting into action. So let's put these pieces back. Click, 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 click. Yeah, these computers are extremely dangerous because they make life so easy. And I advise you, do not use computers, because they will kind of wreck you. You will just expect all the computers to do all the work. I never use computers. If someone comes up to me and says, "You missed a good move, my computer says this," okay, that's interesting, but that doesn't inspire me to use the computer. We have to use our own brains. Now let's look at the other moves you might play. H6, we give you 6. F6 is a very interesting move. I think we're going to move on to the game shortly, but if black plays F6, let's test out. This is actually a supplementary question. Yes, so this is actually question 5, and I haven't even answered question 4. So if black plays F6, what would you do for white here? Well, you have, for 6 points, you have the stunning sacrifice. Knight takes G5. Let's do that. Let's do that. No, we've done it. And then black takes. And what's your next move? Yeah. As a dedicated follower of the power of the queen, you'll know what she can do. Her devastating power is shown by queen h5 check. And black is either mated or he's certainly going to lose his bishop on g7 and his king is going to be wrecked. Okay, so that again shows how when they changed the rules, how it affected the game. Because, you know, in a very short period of time, if you didn't know your stuff, you could be humiliated and crushed. So here, well done. You get 6 points if you actually answered that question right. Knight takes g5. So that's a kind of bonus thing. But we haven't, we'll just finish question 4 because we'll go back f6. The other things you could have done were possibly g4. No, you could have played your bishop to f6 to guard the pawn, but then again white would take the pawn and you would get split pawns. So bishop f6 only gets 3 points, and the move that Meek played was g4, and we're going to give that 4 points. Now I think it's time's up, so we're going to continue this incredible game in the King's Gambit, this game between Morphy, and then we'll talk more about the box of chocolates. So now we'll accept a few challenges to play. We have an opponent called, oh, he's 2200, so are we white? Okay, let's see what he does against the glob. Yeah. Okay. At b5. Right, I think we need to protect. e5. Let's put the bishop here. h5. Oh, this is tricky. What do we do now? We don't know what to do. We're going to play g5. I guess if he takes, then we might get the pawn at d5. That's good or not, I don't know. He's played knight e7. Okay. Right. We want to go c4. Okay. He's gone c6. Okay. Well, let's try d4. It's an odd position. Now he's gone e4. Okay. Now, oops. c3. Pressure on the d pawn. bishop e6. Okay. Right. That and that. So another tricky position. Yeah. Okay. This is mighty risky. Queen b3. Queen d7. Click the piece and click the square. All right, okay. Okay, I could think about that. Now, yeah, okay, let's move. Let's click and click. Oh, even better. Right. So it does work. Right there. Yeah, let's move the bishop back to g3. h4. Okay, we'll have to move the bishop to h2. This wasn't quite what we wanted. Thinking, what's he thinking? Bishop e7. So he's taking the pawn. So we've got to sacrifice it. Yeah. And he's played his. Yeah. So now I think we'll develop the knight. He's castled. Whew. No. Maybe it hasn't gone as well as we hoped. Now we've got to. Yeah. Okay, let's go. Knight a6. Great move. Right. What should we do? I think we're gonna castle. Okay. Well, we're just waiting to see what he's going to do. So, our bishop to b8. Interesting. Okay. I think, yeah, he's going to try and challenge that. Okay. Right, okay, let's play the knight up to 4. And then we can take with the bishop. Oops. Sheesh, kebab. Does that mean I can't take it back? Oh dear, I meant to go to G4. What can I do? No, so now it's, I think, lost because I had to take the knight on F4. Yeah? Does it say accept draw?
Yeah.
Yeah, I accept draw.
You can press the tick.
Yeah, because I just blundered a piece. Yeah. So, sorry about that, opponent. I should have clicked and clicked. Bishop takes F4 was the correct. So that's very generous of him to offer me a draw there. Yeah. Okay, so we may get another opponent, but I would say he probably refuted my opening in that game. I had some play for the pawn, but I'm not sure if I had enough. So we got another opponent. This is who? Was he a good sport? Definitely, he was 100% a good sport, Alexander Thingamabob, because he offered me a draw in a 1 position because I had clicked wrong. Okay, so let's look at this game. He's playing the e4 move. Okay, let's play. Game aborted. Why is the game aborted? What happened there? 10 minutes. Okay. All right. Let's look at the creepy cross. Whoops, didn't happen. Got a new game. Is it the same opponent? No, it's somebody else. Okay, so he's white and he's played d4. Okay, we want to limit his bishop. We'll play h6. Play knight f3. Play a6. Now creepy crawly. Let's sit back and see what he's going to do. Alright, it's okay, we're going to display our pawn to d6 to limit his bishop. And now maybe we play pawn to swing. I'm going to do this click and click even better. Yeah. New device. He's moved his bishop to there. We're going to play bishop to g7. c4. Right. Now, are we worried? Yes. Okay. Let's play the pawn to c5. Because you can swap the queens, but doesn't mean the endgame is bad for us. Let's do knight. Yeah. Let's take the pawn. He's taken with the knight. That's a good response. He doesn't want to weaken his. Himself with a weak d pawn. He's taken on c6. We take back. C2. Right. Go queen out. Must remember to click. Bishop D3. That's a fine move, and we'll play our click and click. Good. Get the hang of that. He's castled. Play on knight to h5. Knight e2. Okay. Just about do rook b8. Wow. Okay, I think we're going to take swap his. Should we swap his bishop off or play bishop g4? No, I think we'll swap his bishop off. No, click, click, click. Good. I can't go wrong. Yeah, good idea. Maybe we should. Should we play? Oops. Come on. Let's say click and click. Okay. The attack commences. Well, A3. Great idea. Okay. Whoops. Where's it gone? Click. Click. Right. I think we want to get our rook to action. D3. Yeah, excellent move. Now we better put the king rook back here. We have some plans, very primitive ones. Knight d4. He has some plans, also very primitive. He wants to fork me. So we better stop ourselves being forked. Let's play the bishop to dolly 7. B4. Yep. I think the queen is in danger. We better move her across to e5. Now we have a little plan to a2. Okay, I think. Okay, let's play the pawn. Oh, maybe that was wrong, but never mind. I played it now. Pawn to e6. Bishop e4. Right, and a good defensive and a good attacking move. Right, so then I think I must attack. It's getting complex now. Bishop back to g2. Great. Okay, now we can't necessarily break through. What's the position here? We can't get a breakthrough. That's a pity. I think we're still going to move the king to e7. Yeah. Oh, well, because I'm going to try and connect the rooks, but I'm not sure how I'm going to connect. Now, I think I'm going to lose a pawn if I don't take it that way, so I'll take it this way. Yeah. So I'm not going to get my marvelous attack. Queen checks. I think I've got to go for the... Oops. I'm in check. Okay. What's wrong? Yeah. Okay. Right. I sort of have the two bishops. That might be an advantage. But the position is quite unclear. I've got a pawn center as well. That should be an advantage, but not necessarily. We swap the queens, so we are into the end game. It's anyone's game. Knight to f3. Excellent plan. He's should I go g4 or guard my pawn? I think let's try g4 to ask his knight the big question. Where are you off to? He's moved to e1. So now maybe we can, yeah, okay, let's start to use a bishop to try to take control of the board, like what they say. Bishops can control the board and the knight is hopeless. But that's what they say. But is it going to work out in practice? A fine move because he's not afraid. Now I've got, he's going to wobble the dukes, isn't he? You can't have him wobbling the dukes. This is outrageous. You cannot. But he's going to do it. Oh, my. So he is going to get control of the file unless I can stop him. Okay, I think I'm going to reroute this hopeless rook. Oh, wait a minute. Click, click, no, click, click. Good. Now, we're relying on our wonderful bishops. Knight d3. Excellent move. Okay, now where's that knight going? Don't know. Possibly f4. He's playing well here. I think I'm going to put this bishop here. Try and ask his knight what it's going to do. Knight f4. Right. This again gets complicated. I'm trying to get rid of his rooks. And he's trying to get rid of my pieces. Maybe I can play something like... Oh no, I can't play e5 because he would slaughter me then. Maybe play... Yeah, I can't see anything quite happening here. What's he going to do? Aha, I might be setting a trap here. I won't tell you what the trap is, he might be listening. Now what's he going to do? Oh, bishop f1. Yes, good defensive move, well played. Trying to get rid of one of my bishops. Yeah? Okay, I think I'm probably going to swap that. Click, click. Now, if he takes with the king, I've got a good move coming. Is he going to take with the king? No. Pity. Okay, I have another plan. I didn't win his rook. I wonder if you saw what I was going to do if you took with the king. Okay?
What would you do?
I would have skewered him, wouldn't I? Is this going to work? Maybe. Now I'm going to try and do something with my bishop against the knight. Rook to there. Okay, I must swap this rook. Okay. No, click, click. Now, I now have a plan. Now, can I try and win a pawn? No, it's not. Well, it can. Maybe if I play. If I play, then no, I can't play the bishop there. He plays the rook there. So annoying. Okay, I've only got 2 minutes, so I'd better think of something good here. Play rook b5. I think no, rook b5 might work. Okay, let's try. Okay, let's play bishop b2. Yeah. Oh, not quite the best. I just noticed what's wrong with it. Apart from that move, yes, he's going to reroute his knight. This is what I don't want. Help! Oh! Now that's really getting bad. Help! And he's threatening my bishop. Now we can't defend this position now. Oops, we're going to lose a pawn. Okay, we better play. What's the time going? Okay, we better put the bishop to there, and let's just dream. Let's dream. Okay, I think our only chance is now that, which is probably not going to work. So he's taken, the rook takes. I think I have to take. Yeah, he must now take. Right. This king is just going to get there in time. Okay, what should we do? Let's put the bishop here. Let's put maybe bishop here. Hoping for the best. And he's moved his king there. Very good move. We better move our pawn. Oh, shit. Should have clicked. Damnation. King e2. Okay, let's click. Click. Oh, quite over here. F3. Right, okay. Okay, let's take, no, click, click, no, click, yeah. Okay. Now, what can we do? We can go there. Yeah, okay. We can. No. Okay, let's go. Click, click. Maybe not the best, but still a move. Okay. Let's see. Oh, what's happened? How had I gone? Oh, I thought I had a minute left. How did I lose on time? Oh, right. Okay. So now, what's he winning? This is a good question because the board's obscured. Can you check whether? So If I take the knight, he takes, I take. No, I think I'm winning. Because if he, no, he could play g4. No, it's a draw. He could play g4. I'd probably have to. No, I could play e4 check. No, then it's a draw. Yes, so bishop takes knight, pawn takes, king takes. That looks like a draw. I don't. Yeah, I think that would be a draw. Okay, so anyway, well played, my opponent. I had a minute left, didn't I? Yeah, I had a whole minute left, and then it suddenly disappeared. So again, the computer is conspiring against me. Anyway, I think you'll agree that yeah, these were much better, stronger opponents here. They were 2100, 2200, and obviously I'll need to have some chess lessons in order to tackle them at this level. But I think the opening of the first one, that didn't go so well. And the opening of this one, I think Black had probably the edge most of the way through. So, except actually after Black actually messes up the end game and is then fighting for a draw. But this final position looks like a draw. So great. So I hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you for my engineer, Olivia, and see you next week.